Hello and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hi, what's up? I'm Gemma and I'm a senior UX designer who shares tips about UX for free. If that's something you're interested in, then why not hit that subscribe button and maybe hit that notification bell to get notifications every time I upload a new video. What is Agile? And specifically, Agile development. Agile is something that you will come across if you work within an agency and maybe sometimes if you work in-house. But if you do work in software, you will definitely come across Agile at some point in your career. If you haven't come across Agile and it's something that you want to learn about, then maybe this video is right for you. Now, I'm going to throw in a little disclaimer here. This is all based on experience of when I've worked inside an Agile environment. I've worked in 3 so far and they've pretty much all been the same and follow the same sort of format. So this whole video is just going to be based on my experience and not the main principles of what Agile is supposed to be or anything around that. So what is Agile? It's basically a methodology of how you turn an idea into reality. But how is this done? Agile is sort of split into phases and then sorted into sprints. Now keep sprints in mind because that is something that we'll touch on a little bit later on in this video, but for now, just put it to your back of your mind and put a pin in it. The discovery phase. This is where you outline the goal. This is done by doing rounds of research, talking to users, talking to stakeholders, and gathering as much information as possible. This will define the requirements phase. The time frame on this is never actually defined. It could be months, it could be maybe 2 weeks. But this is usually defined within your contract or within the contract of the means of the project. So what are requirements? A requirement is a documented physical or functional need, and this can be accessed by the development team or the design team. So this outlines a problem that the design team or the development team need to solve. Requirements are broken down into tickets, and then these tickets are taken into a sprint for a period of time to be worked on. These tickets are then tracked with the sprints, so project managers, clients, scrum masters, and the rest of the team can see the progress of the project. Now the person who writes requirements are usually the business analysis or the project manager sometimes, but it's usually a business analysis who will write the requirements. Depending on which team you're in, whether you're in the design team or the development team, you both will be working off requirement tickets. Design tickets usually outline a problem and then the design team are down to solve that problem, and the development tickets usually have designs attached to them outlining what the designs need to achieve. The development tickets usually outline a user story with designs attached so they have an idea of what they need to develop. Now let's talk about sprints. A sprint is a chunk of time, usually 2 weeks, which is 10 working days, where a feature or a product is worked on. So this doesn't mean that you're working on the whole thing and you have to build it within the 2 week time frame. This means you are taking parts of a project or parts of a feature or parts of the product, and you will build a certain part within 2 weeks, and then that feature is then complete within 2 weeks. The design teams are usually roughly 2 sprints ahead of the development team. And this is because designs need to be tested or clients need to sign it off before it gets into development. Before every sprint, you need to do sprint planning. These are meetings that take place before a sprint is due to start. In this meeting, it's discussed between the team of what features are going to be worked on. Developers will go through tickets and assign story points to these tickets. And this gives a rough estimation of how long they think a feature is going to take to build. The reason why they do this is to define the capacity of how many tickets they can take into a sprint. This is so they know they don't have way too much to do in too little time. If you want, I can go into a lot more detail into story points and I could maybe do a whole video on it, but for now I'm just going to keep it top level. But if that's something you're interested in, then let me know in the comments below. At the end of every sprint, you will normally have a retrospective meeting. A retrospective meeting will have every member of the team who were involved in the sprint or involved in the whole project as a whole. And this meeting is to reflect on the previous sprint and define with what went well, what went wrong, and what we can improve. And we do this because we want to improve the next sprint going ahead, so we don't fall into the same mistakes that we did before in the previous sprint, if there were any. Each member of the team will get up and say what went well, what didn't go so well, and maybe offer a solution of how we could improve. And there are multiple ways in this can be done. Usually you will be thrown into a room together, you'll be handed a bunch of sticky notes, and you will write down what went well, what went wrong, what we can improve, and you get a chance to talk about each topic by sticking them up on the wall so everyone can see. But this doesn't mean where you go to throat and then start blaming people. That isn't the whole point of a retrospective. It's just to reflect on the previous sprint and to make sure that you can improve the next one going on forward. These meetings are usually run by a Scrum Master, but this does depend on the size of your company. Sometimes there's not always a designated Scrum Master, but there will be a person who takes on the role of Scrum Master. This can be the business analysis, or it could be the project manager who define the Scrum Master kind of role, but in bigger organizations you will have a designated Scrum Master person who does this as a sole job. But in smaller little agencies, there won't be a designated person. Well, they will, but that won't be their sole job. They will be a project manager or business analysis who takes on the role of Scrum Master. The reason why you need this person is because they're a neutral person and they will listen to every single person, but you also need to make somebody accountable for all the actions. The Scrum Master is the person who takes on the accountability to make sure the next sprint goes more smoothly. Stand-ups. So stand-ups are daily meetings. They normally happen early in the morning before the day is about to start. It's called a stand-up because everyone in the meeting actually stands up in the meeting. And the reason they do this is to make sure the meeting is kept short. If you sit down, you probably start talking a little bit longer than what it should be. So you stand up, you're to the point, to get the meeting out and done smoothly and as quickly as possible. Even in teams as large as 20 to 30 people, you can usually get a stand-up done within 15 minutes. During a stand-up, you will talk about what you did yesterday and what you plan on working today. You also bring up if there's any blockers in your way to stop you from doing your task that you need to do that day. The reason why you bring up the blockers is because there could be somebody within the team that can help you out to unblock something for your task. Maybe your ticket is in test. You need the testers to test your ticket to make sure it can move over into merge. You can't merge a ticket until it's tested, so you will normally bring up that my ticket is blocked and I need some help. Because there's probably somebody within the team who can unblock your ticket to make sure that the sprint runs smoothly and you can get on with your day. And that's it. This is the basics of working in an agile environment. Well, from my experience. Obviously, there's a few more aspects that go into an agile environment, like user testing, how the design sprints actually run, how the design team communicate with the development team, how the design team communicates with the project managers, the business analyses, the clients. There's a lot more that goes on to working in Agile, but these are the main principles that you will see daily. These are the type of meetings you will be in, and this is usually how projects are run within an Agile environment. So let me know, have you worked in an Agile environment before that maybe looks similar to this, or have you worked in an Agile environment which is completely different to this? Let me know in the comments below because I'm genuinely curious of how other Agile environments work. And maybe if you're about to go into an Agile environment, then let me know if this video has helped you. Has it given you more insights of what you do to expect in an Agile environment? And last but not least, if you like this type of content, why not like and subscribe? Maybe hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to follow me over on Instagram, you can do so here. And until next time, bye!